TV. You like that new voice? TV. All right, never mind. Anyway, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with Larry Ballard, and this is if you just got done watching the Catherine Fitz Black Pill edition, maybe this one will make you feel a little better. I'm with Larry Ballard, who's going to explain the great, I guess we could call it the great reset, right? It's going to be the great reset. So this is going to be good because a lot of people are going to just watch Catherine Fitz and they're probably going to be sitting there like this, you know. So this will make it be a better morale boost to feel good. But first, folks, get your noble gold. Get your noble gold. Something's brewing. You can feel it. The problem, you never know the full story until after the crash, after the collapse, after it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready right now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just noise, but maybe it's the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out, not a good strategy. That's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments, they're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no gains, no games, no games. Just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you're either prepared or you're not. Which one will you be when everything changes overnight? Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. You get started right now with your own wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Go down there below, hit the link, get started, and be prepared. All right, here we go. So you gave me some slides. What are we talking about today exactly? This is all about what Trump has done, what he's accomplished, and where we're going forward, right, into the future.
That's pretty much it. Basically, people are saying, oh, my God, he's going to take us into World War III. He's a warmonger. He's doing this, he's doing that, all the negative stuff, all the black stuff you're talking about. So with all that going on, I just sit down one day and say, you know what? I think we need to celebrate this man. We need to understand that someday his face is going to go up on Mount Rushmore or another mountain. And one day we might even look at it and say the world before Trump and the world after Trump. The midterms are coming up. And this is the beginning of something that I'm going to be doing, supporting Trump, where I just talk all the time about his accomplishments. And he's done a number of things. So I'm going to pick this up starting with what I see coming, the positive side. And I think it started with 𝗬𝗂𝗫𝗶𝗹 prophecy at Christmas time when the transfer of wealth began with the silver squeeze. And so those people who have silver are pretty happy right now because it's going up and up and up and it's a little volatile.
I feel it fell down a little bit, which is good. That's when you buy. Go buy, right?
Well, let me jump into that right now. I can go in and out of script. So they're talking about maybe there's a RICO case based on what they did, because what you're looking at is the silver squeeze, where the banks are going to lose potentially billions of dollars. And so what they needed to do, and what they did apparently, is got together and colluded to drive silver price down. So when they come up against the COMEX deadline at the end of March, the amount of money that they're going to have to pay is less because they've managed to drive silver down. So basically, I believe we're going to see that in the due course of time, that's going to result in a law case. So at any rate, that's the
no, but I mean,
piece.
we still can expect it to. I mean, I heard it's being artificially brought down to save their own asses, in short, like what you're saying. But they can't stop it, right? It's going to keep going up.
No, you got to look at concrete facts. So what they tried to do a couple of months ago was they tried to come in and they tried to suppress silver with paper contracts, like happened with the Hunt brothers a long time ago. It didn't work. Why? So here's the answer to your question. Because we're not looking at paper contracts right now, because we're looking at the beginning of the largest industrial technological revolution in the world, and you can't have it without silver. So basically what's going on in the silver market is price is not going to be driven by FOMO. It's not going to be driven by retail investors. It's going to be driven by one thing. I'm a manufacturer. I've got to have X amount of silver in order to keep my assembly lines open. I'm willing to pay whatever it takes to keep my doors open and to keep my company going. And they say that it's going to be about $300 before they get to the point that they can start significantly opening mines or increasing production. So from everything I've seen, you can look at silver in the next few months to go up to 300 or more whatever the threshold is to make sure that the world has enough silver to keep our factories open. That's what's driving.
Is it also
situation.
because of the big boom in AI? I mean, obviously, that's what it's all about too, right? The AI, all the technological advancements is going to take silver, right? We need to start mining the silver for that trajectory, correct?
What you've got is this industrial technological revolution. Trump is getting ready to release what? The Chevron decision that said we got 5,915 super technology patents that have been suppressed. So you take those going to be released, and some of them are going to be in energy, and then you've got the quantum computing, then you've got AI. You add all that up, and those are massive consumers of energy. So Trump is saying that the energy demands are going to far exceed our grid, and energy is going to go up, demand is going to go up 2 to 3 times. And as that happens, and all those technologies come out, and Trump is building America again with that $18 trillion that he's got committed, we are going to have massive amounts of silver. So COMEX is no longer going to be able to play games selling paper contracts. It's hard physical demand, or it's pony up. That's what it is.
All right, let's get started. So I was right. It's going to just keep climbing, but I'm sure it'll go way past. I heard the sweet spot's 300 for them to start mining again, but I also heard that it's going to go blow past that. It's going to go, 500, 600. Am I right? 500, 600 to 1,000 maybe.
I think what's going to determine it is something that we don't know right now, and that is the demand for silver for all that new technology and all that energy. Here's I'll give you an example. I'm the CEO of a major company, and I have to have 500,000 ounces of silver to keep my assembly line going this month. If I can't get it at $100, I'll get it at 200. If I can't get it at 200, I'll get it at 300, until I reach the point that the cost of silver is so expensive that it's going to drive me out of business. That's where we're at. This is a make it or break it situation for manufacturers to keep their doors open. Some companies will be driven out of business because of this, but others that are super large consumers of silver and are large, they're going to pay whatever they have to pay to keep the doors open. Shall we go on down?
Let's roll.
So what we're saying here is Trump has pulled the trigger, and things are happening, and the world is saying, oh my God, they're panicking, and basically what fate will wait for the world based on what Trump has done. So let's go down to the next slide and we'll dig into it. So here's where we're at. This is the big event that I was really waiting for. You cannot have a sovereign nation unless you have sovereign elections. And so what is going to trigger that reveal? It's the Maduro deal, where we're finding out now that we have him. He's talking. We're now finding out about Smartmatic and what they did. We've got Epstein and everything that he's done, and a lot of that relates to election fraud and so many other things. So between these two men, between the Brunson case, between the flotilla of whistleblowers that are coming out.
You think that Brunson case is going to do some damage, huh?
I think it could. Yeah. I mean, it's from what I met Brunson one time, and what he said is he thought the case had already been heard and they were just going to hold it and in terms of releasing it until the appropriate time. And if it happens, then there's 198 legislators in Washington, D.C. that could find out that they're no longer legislators. So there's a lot of things happening, but we cannot have the government that we want to have unless we have voter integrity. And when that happens, that's like pulling the plug on the drain, and basically the swamp drains, and it's going to hit all the corporate leaders that are implicated by these two men.
Wow.
All the banks are going to take a huge hit, billions of dollars, because of this silver squeeze. And then Washington is going to get gutted, and we just might accidentally wake up one day and we might find out that we are a republic again, and that we're out from under the corporation. That's how serious this is. Shall we go on down, or Anita, do you have other comments?
No. I just so the big chess. This is going to be Trump's big chess move here. This is like Maduro and the Epstein files coming out in the timing that they are right now. The beginning of the year is going to lead. I mean, 𝗀𝗏ci 𝗂𝗏 going to Georgia, uncovering all the ballot things, the ballots. I mean, this is all going to lead to the big finale, probably spring, summer. I don't know. I would imagine the timing has to be around there, so there's enough runway for an executive order to be signed by Trump regarding secure, safe, transparent elections, in person, paper ballots. I would imagine this all has to come out pretty soon. That's my thought on
The
that.
last slide covers all the things that we have to get our sovereignty back. So we'll address
Okay.
that on the last slide. But basically what you're saying right now is that we are in the throes of what Sun Tzu would call the final battle. We're on death ground. We have to win this. And so I want people to understand that we are winning and understand what this man is doing. So here we're going. He's basically at Davos. He dropped a nuclear bomb on the world. And I don't think a lot of people really understood what he did. So what did he do? He basically took on the EU. He took on NATO. He took on the UN. And he's basically taken on the world and said, hey, Europe, you better take care of yourself. And he said, it's America first. And then what has he done? He announced the Board of Peace, which is what? Effectively a competitor that's probably going to put the UN out of business. And the UN, just so that for those of you who haven't been red-pilled yet, their stated objective is to have open borders and to create a one world government. And if we're going to have peace on this world, we have to deglobalize and de-dollarize. And so the UN and all of its global government entities are our enemies. They look at what they did with us with the World Health Organization. Look what they did to us with the World Trade Organization. We now understand that the U.S. aid is nothing but a agency of the government, the CIA, orchestrating collapses of governments around the world. But right now on this slide, here's what he's done.
Just look at Europe. Just look at Europe and how disgusting that place has become. It's completely run, has been ran over by immigrants. It's lost its culture, its history. There's graffiti all over the walls. Crime has spiked. Violent crime has spiked all over Europe. I'm watching videos on this almost every day for the last 3 or 4 days. And I've been watching these videos in Rome, in Berlin, in beautiful places. They're just being ransacked and overrun by these immigrants. So that's what they wanted to do here.
Let's put a positive spin on that.
All right.
Let's look around and look at. Well, I think today or tomorrow there's going to be a conversation with Iran, right? So millions of people are out there, and they're absolutely adamant that they have to have their freedom, right? Then go to China. The same thing is happening in China, and the people are calling for the downfall of the CCP and for getting rid of Xi Jinping. And then let's go to Russia. Russia is in the oil squeeze, and we'll talk about that later on in here. So all three of those major superpowers are on the very brink of collapse. And guess what? That has to happen because we have to get out from under the global financial elite and all nations. We have to have peace and prosperity, and that's what Trump is doing. But let's go to this particular slide with this Board of Peace. That's to take on and basically eventually take over the UN. 80 nations have committed to it. Each one of them has to put in $1 billion, and look what's happening. He's declaring a RICO case, and he's saying that he's going to take the money away from the criminals who've been controlling us. So this is just a partial list of all the money that he's going to be confiscating from organizations like the Open Society, like BLM, like the Kit Initiative, like the Tides Foundation, like Antifa, like the Green Slush Fund, like Intel 51. And so just think about all the money that he's bringing in because of the tariffs, and now look at all the money that he's going to get because this myriad of RICO cases that he has made provision to basically go in, and anybody is an enemy of this country, we can confiscate their assets. The man is making a move, and that's why they're so against him. If you got comments, comment. If not, we'll go to the next slide.
I think like when he went to Davos and he made that, his plane had like some kind of mechanical failure. He still went. That just shows you the backbone this guy has. I mean, that could have been, in my mind, I would have been thinking, man, they're trying to put a hit out on me. I mean, he still gets out to Davos and he delivers that speech to their faces. Basically, creating the Board of Peace, pulling out of the World Health Organization, the CDC, the whole thing. It's very important he got in front of them and fired those shots across the bow, right? I mean, it was very important for him to be there physically.
Yeah. But one thing you said, I don't understand. You're saying he was really brave to do that? Well, wait a minute.
No, I'm saying like the first when he first
times already. I mean, I'm just making fun of what you're saying. So could that have been another assassination attempt? Very likely. Who knows?
I'm just saying. I mean, his plane had mechanical failure. They had to go take another plane to get over to Davos. Right. It was like, I mean, That tell me that wouldn't weigh on your mind having to go out there.
He's God's ordained in my mind, and the man knows no fear.
Let's
go down to the next slide. This one, I think it's going to shock people. I don't think people really realize what Trump's been up to. Remember now, we're basically trying to bring Iran down. We've taken Venezuela, and you cannot have sovereignty if you don't have what? Control of your natural resources. And the two most important natural resources right now are silver and oil, right? So what's he done? He's basically got it's got Project Vault. And what's that all about? It's saying all of my predecessors for the last 30 years have let other nations, in particular China, secure all the natural resources of the world. Nope. We're going to have Project Vault, and we're going to make sure that we have all the natural resources we need in order to take that $18 trillion that he's got and build our factories and lead the world into an absolutely abundant, total transition with a new technology coming out. So he's got Project Vault that's going to get us our natural resources. And listen to this next bullet point. With what he's done with drill, baby drill, with what he's done with negotiating an oil pipeline with Canada, what he's doing with taking over Venezuela, the United States, this is going to blow your mind, now produces more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia.
Wow. Because of Venezuela, what we did with Venezuela.
And now what's he doing with that? He's basically seeing to it that there's an embargo on oil going from Venezuela to where? China, putting a squeeze on China. They import more oil than any other nation in the world, 70% of their oil supply. They only have enough on-ground reserves for 90 days. And so it's putting China in the big hurt. And it's hurting Venezuela, Iran, because with all this turmoil, their oil exports are in danger. And then what's he done with Russia? He's made a deal with the EU and with India saying, we will not buy Russia's oil. So Russia is a unique nation. It's got all these natural resources, but it's not really a technological, behemoth like the United States. So if we can put the hard press on oil, then that's likely to bring Ukraine and Russia to the table. So what do we have to have peace in this world? We have to end all these wars. So Trump is into 8, and he's putting the big squeeze on, and oil is one of the weapons that he's using to basically push people in order to basically end these wars around the world. Comment before we go on.
No, that's great.
I'm just trying to show what he's done. And my heart goes out to these young kids who can't buy a house. And I spent 12 years in real estate, folks, so I know what I'm talking about. I at one point owned 11 rental properties. I worked in construction going through college. So when I tell you what I'm going to tell you here, I know it. And I've got an
They should all move to Washington and squat. You could do that there. And you will own a house. Yeah. You can go to Washington State, squat on a property, just make sure the owner's not there. Sit there. You got yourself a house. Just saying.
Well,
I don't know. I'm just saying. That's how messed up.
I'm taking a little softer approach.
All right.
So we're not going to get into the nitty gritty here, but I am going to tell you what he's going to do. So what we're looking at is the millennials, which are age 24 to 30, can't buy a house. Why? And the Z's coming up, 13 to 23, can't buy a house. Let's go to the next slide. This is just one slide out of an hour-long presentation that I've done on housing. So this is just the top of the ice cap. Here's what happens. You want to go out and buy a house, and you've saved. You've got your down payment. You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go out and find myself a house. You're not, because here's what. The institutions have bought that house before it ever comes on the market. They've got AI out there, and the minute that contract was written, within seconds, they know it, and they've done their algorithms, and they're making an offer on that house within minutes before the MLS ever puts a sign in the yard. And then what happens? They're buying it, and they're not buying what you're buying. When you buy a house, what are you buying? You're buying a debt obligation. You're making a commitment to pay for a mortgage for potentially 30 years. That's not what they're buying. What they're using is cash. So they have no debt involved. They pay cash for the house. And what are they doing? They're going to rent the house. And that means they're going to have a 30-year cash flow. So they are more than willing to do what is on this slide, pay 30, 40, or 50% above asking price, because there's a strategy behind that. What they want to do is raise the prices so they can price out those millennials and the Generation Zs, so they get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of houses that are rental only. And it goes to what Schwab said, you will own a house, you will own nothing and be happy. No, Donald Trump has, with one little stroke of a pen, he said basically institutions are no longer going to be allowed to buy homes.
So like BlackRock and
market.
Chinese
Yeah.
companies that are coming in and just buying it all up, gobbling it all up, they're no longer allowed to do this.
There are two things that they're doing. They're basically driving up the prices on the existing homes so that people can't get them. And then they've joined with Lanier and Pulte and other first-time home buyers, and they're building billion-dollar projects, building thousands of houses. And guess what? You drive by and you think, oh, maybe I can go get a house over there. No, you can't. You know why? Because they're for rent only. So this is an attack on the American homeowner, on the merry American dream. Trump can kill it with this one phrase here.
Is he going to do that? Is that something he's planning?
He has declared he's going to declare a national emergency on housing, and it looks like this is one of the things that's going to be. Time will tell, but that looks like what he's going to do. There are many other things that he can do. So this is to say to those people out there who are poo-pooing Trump, look at the dividends that he's going to give you. We get to the last part of this presentation. We're going to go through the things that he's giving back to the people. He's not hoarding, he's sharing. Let's go on down, and now we're going to go kind of quick, and I'll give you a chance to comment on each and every one of these if you want. But if people understand what's behind these, then they come out with that black hat mentality when it's really the red pill. So let's look. External Revenue Service. So what do you do at Davos? He basically said, hey, I'm getting a new Fed chairman. He said, we're moving from internal revenue to external revenue service, which is to say what? The Fed is gone, the IRS is gone, your property tax on your house that gives them takeaway is gone. We're going to a completely new economic system based on commodities, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to own a lot, and you're going to have money in the bank. That's what he's saying. And then T-bills, they're telling us, oh my God, he's going to collapse the economy and cause a crash. There has to be a crash, because what does it say? Who owns money controls the world, right?
Right.
You can control all the spheres of influence. We have to take their money away. So here's what he's doing. We've got BRICS putting pressure on the dollar, and that basically means the T-bills. And then we've got the crisis that Japan is in with the reverse carry trade, forcing them to sell treasuries off. And so people are panicking, saying, oh my God, the dollar's going to collapse. No, he's creating a mechanism for a soft collapse. He wants to reduce the value of the dollar, because let's see how it works. Oh, let's go to China. Their currency is very low. What does that do? It gives them an advantage in trade. Let's go to Vietnam. Their currency is very low. That gives them an advantage in trade. So what's he doing? He's saying America's dollar needs to be low so we can have that same advantage in trade. And because he's going to build our factories, and he wants to get back trade dominance. And then let's ask ourselves, well, how is he going to do it? That takes us to the third point. He's basically committed, this is factual, to a strategic reserve to include gold that he has said he's going to raise eventually to 20,000, to include Bitcoin, which he said he's going to stack Bitcoin until he gets 1 million Bitcoin. Then he's going to raise the price to $1 billion. It's going to be run on the rails of XRP, getting rid of the SWIFT system. He's going to then put on top of that a stable coin that is going to be used to back the US dollar. And then basically what happens is there's confidence in the US dollar again. And now people feel that, hey, we don't want to do business with China. We don't want to do business with a communist government. But we've got to wait and see if the U.S. dollar is safe and solvent. And so he's doing that. He's allowing the dollar to go down. And another reason he's doing it is because we have to refinance a large portion of our national debt this year. And he wants to do it at what? The lowest interest rate he can, right?
I've heard that a lot of, I've heard this from Juan, that a lot of people are kind of in fear to invest into a post-Trump era, because so in other words, it's exciting right now, but what happens after Trump? And a lot of investors are like, well, they're kind of hesitating, they're pulling back because a lot of them, don't trust JD Vance. They're not sure what he's going to do or what direction the country's going after Trump.
So let's see now.
So
My
this is like
option
this is.
do
I'm
nothing.
just saying that a lot of people are hesitant to invest money into America because of that reason.
Okay, so what they're saying, if I paraphrase it, is I'm going to sit back and do nothing and let the global financial elite continue to control us. Or I'm going to get behind Trump, and what we're going to do is we're going to create our future because we're going to collapse.
Just telling you what I'm hearing. If you're a big
Well, I know, but
investor,
listen
you got to look at 10, 15, 20, 30 years into the future, not the next 2 or 3.
I know, but what we got to do, what the Bible says, you got to extract from the root. So if we dig them up at the root, and how do we do it? We basically we get an alternative for the UN. We get us out from under the handcuffs. We get us into a situation where the total financial elite have collapsed. The banks have collapsed. The corporations have collapsed. The politicians have been taken out. It's not just Vance now. We're taking hundreds. We're taking 70, 80, 90% of the politicians at the state, local, and federal level out because of the conspiracies that they've been involved with to bring the United States down. Now it's a whole new game. We're not just dependent on one man. The eyes of the American people have opened like the eyes of the people in Iran and in China and in Russia. And we are many and they are few. And our destiny is in our hands, in the hands of an awakened population who says, no more will you enslave us. That's the future, not this pessimistic future. I'm going to sit back and do nothing. You've got to be bold. He's bold, and he's going to take them down and dig it up by the very roots. Comments before we go on?
Nope, let's move on.
All right, so what's he want to do next? It's no, stay in the same slide. I'm not done with that slide.
Oh.
So his next point, I'm down to banking. So basically, not only is he going to give confidence back in the US dollar, but there's maybe 2.5 billion people out there that are unbanked. And so what's he said, along with all of that, the strategic reserve, he's going to make America the crypto capital of the world. And what's that mean? A stable dollar that you can invest in, but also the most convenient currency in the world to get behind, because all those people in Africa, in the portions of India and China, will be able to participate in the US economy and be their own bank. Do you see where the man's coming? He's taking every single solitary little thing that needs to be done to get that total control that you're talking about back in our hands. So now let's go down, energy independence. So if we are now producing more oil than anybody in the world, I think you can safely say we have energy independence, and we're not depending on Saudi Arabia or any other nation. And that means the cost of everything in the world for us is going to go down as we go forward, because energy is used to drive up prices, to control all the necessities of life. If you can't afford to buy your medicines, to pay your bills, to get your food, then you're a slave. And he is basically coming in and saying America is no longer dependent on anybody for oil, for energy. And then build America. What's he going to do? He's going to restore our manufacturing prowess, and that's that $18 trillion coupled with legislation to see to it that we have all the natural resources we need, because you can't build those factories and open them up if you don't have natural resources. And then going down, he's going to end resource dependency. That's Project 𝗏, which we already talked about. And then his whole strategy is buy America, build America, buy America. That's what made America great in the first place. That's what happened after the Civil War when we had bankruptcy, and when he put just what he's doing right now is what we did. He is posing tariffs on China. He's going to rebuild our manufacturing, and he's going to share that technology with the rest of the world. But first, it has to be first, America first. First, we have to get economically sound. We have to get the American people behind us. And then with all those technologies that he's now got access because of the Chevron deal, America is going to cause a technological revolution that'll blow your mind, and we're going to be the leaders, and the people of the world are never going to go back to the slavery that we've been under. So I know, I just think those people who are thinking, like you said, are just, they're uninformed is all. So we go to the next slide. We're getting close to being done here. I know you're on a tight timeline. So basically, do you have any comments on anything on that last slide before I dig in?
No, I think this is all so positive and uplifting for my audience, especially after they hear the Catherine Fitz stuff. And I'm not downing Catherine Fitz. She's very, very highly intelligent, educated woman. But this just gives us a different spin that my audience needs to hear.
Okay, so this one we've touched on, the housing emergency, and he's going to get rid of the institutional buyers. But for those of you who know what 𝗬𝗏 is, and if 𝗬𝗏 is going to kick in, and I think every indication is with what he's doing with the Fed, right? He's basically collapsing the banking system. Then that means we're probably going to have no, let's think about what we had when this nation was founded. We had no federal income tax. We had no usury. We had no personal property tax. So if we're going to impose 𝗧𝗏, which is, it looks like to me, that's exactly where he's going. Here's another little thing that he might be able to do. He might be able to say, oh, Mr. Little Investor out there, you've got 7, 8, 9 houses, right? And you're renting them. You know what you could do? If you've got mortgages on those, it's very likely that those mortgages are going to go away because it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. We originally ran our nation with a simple sales tax, with no usury, and with no property tax. So if all of a sudden those people who own that 8 or 9 houses have no mortgages, you know what they can do? They can say to those young kids that are out there trying to buy a house, I'll be your banker. You don't have to go through the bank. I'll be your banker. I'll give you a really good rate. I'll allow you to do a rent to own if you need to. And if not, I've got some strategies that I can lay out. I've laid out in my hour-long presentation on banking. But we can give the American dream back to the millennials and the Generation Zs. And now let's go on down. Tariff dividends. He's trying to show the people that the progress he's making is going to be shared with the public. So he's declared he's going to give what? This is an interesting number, 1776.
Oh, yeah.
$76 to the military to thank them for the service. What else he's going to do? He's already done. We were basically underwriting the entire world in terms of the cost of pharmaceuticals. And I was in that field for almost 20 years. So I know what I'm talking about here as well. And so he went in and he got best nation prices. So now we're going to have the lowest prices anybody pays. And some of these drugs are going to go down by 4,000%. So promises made, promises kept. Every time you turn around, he's taking on the big boys. And so what I'm saying is he's gutting their structure. So when this is over, they're not going to have the structure to be able to come back. It's gutted. They've been dug up by the roots. So it's going down. Ecological cleansing. So what's he saying? Hey, folks, I'm going to let you know in detail that the green scam is a lie, that is the most expensive technology you could ever imagine, that it is still connected to the grid, that those solar panels that get destroyed go into our landfills and they're very toxic. And he's going to come up with all these new energy solutions that are going to say, we will not have, at least in America, we will not have solar farms. We will not have wind powers. There'll still be some of that, but that's not going to be our central drive for energy independence because it flat out doesn't work. It's caustic and it does not get us off the grid. Now let's go on down. Break in anytime you want.
No, I'm listening. I'm learning a lot here. It's amazing.
Okay. And then expose election fraud.
When you see me looking down, Larry, it's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm working on the thumbnail. I'm a one-man show here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm doing it as we're doing it.
Make it a good thumbnail. We need to get people to listen to this.
All right.
So at any rate, basically exposing fraud. We've talked about that's the Maduro and that's the Epstein and that's going to Georgia and getting the election fraud there, and that's the Brunson case, all of that. And you cannot have a sovereign nation if you don't have election integrity, because what do you have? You have bought and paid for politicians that are passing laws designed to create a legal dictatorship to enslave the American people. So that is going to end. So what we're going to end up doing, I know this sounds far-fetched, but we already know about the auto pen, and we're going to find out all the elections that have been stolen, not just ours, but 72 nations in total. And that means we're going to gut the political system. We're going to have a new special election. You have 120 days to do it according to the Constitution. And we're going to get out all of the enemies of the state, all the enemies of the people, and we're going to get in literally a new government. So let's go on down. The currency reset has to happen. And it's not going to be based on fiat currency. It's going to be based on commodities, God's economic system. And here's the difference: when you're on a fiat system, you can orchestrate a bubble anytime you want, to collapse anytime you want. You can take somebody's life savings, you can take their house. But when you're on a system that's based on gold and silver, on wheat and corn and everything, they have intrinsic value. And so the ability for the financial elite to create booms and bust cycles that basically leave the American people in poverty, it's going away. So basically, what's the last thing on this button? Basically, we have to have peace. And he's already negotiated 8 peace deals, and he's using oil to force the remaining nations at war to submit. and then we'll have the opportunity to do one last thing. And that is that it was Eisenhower who said, is there any man, any woman, any child that doesn't understand the principal cause of war in the world is significant inequality between nations? And so what's he going to do? You mark my words. I've done shows on this, several of them. We're going to see in the very near future, we're going to see the Vietnam Dong revalue, and we're going to see the dinar revalue. They've met all the criteria. They have their infrastructure reestablished. They have domestic marketplaces. Iran is basically sending out oil as refined oil, not as crude oil. And Vietnam is hugely growing because of all the manufacturing that's coming in as it leaves China. So all we have to wait for is for them to flip the button, and it's coming very quick. And a question you asked earlier that I didn't answer is this: what's the timing? I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you what I think. I see all of these coming down. They're creating momentum. They're gutting. They're taking away the control of the global financial elite, leaving us with a completely new skeletal system that took them generations to build. They're not coming back anytime soon. Whether Trump is out and Vance comes in, we're going to have the momentum. So here's what I think. I think in this first quarter, we're going to see amazing disclosures. We're going to get everything we need to know about election fraud, all of the different scams that have happened. We're going to follow the money trail, and we're going to basically just make moves you can't even believe.
I'm going to make a small prediction here. I think we're going to have UFO disclosure, so that they can get ahead of the ball, so that the elite, the globalists, don't use the alien card. And I think we're going to be in control of the UFO alien disclosure. I think that's what the plan. I think that's what the plan is.
I agree. And here's the rest of your timing. I think most of the things that need to be done are going to have been done in the first quarter. Trump is a man who maps things out. He plans on having the 250-year centennial celebration launch on July the 4th of this year. I think he needs 3 months after he's got all this settled in order to basically be able to have this huge celebration. I think this will be over ostensibly by the 4th of July. Now, I want to say something. The economy has to collapse, and Trump has to oversee it, because it's the only way we get our government back. Don't blame Trump. Trump has been put in a position where he has no choice except to allow the economy to collapse. But once it does, everything I've seen when Guardian Nosara says we're running quantum computers in the background and we're mirroring all the existing bank accounts out there, it's not going to be as bad as you think. But there's going to be a rebuilding process. So all of that money he's got coming in, all those factories that he wants to build, it takes time. You're not going to build a multi-billion-dollar factory in 6 months. So we're going to see that, yes, everything's going to turn around, but then the real reaping of the benefits is going to take a couple of years. So we're going to have to basically get everything put in position. Let's go to the next slide. This is the one I said where we'd summarize. You have to have every one of the things on this slide if you're going to have sovereignty, period. You can't have it. And it means you have to gut everything that keeps you from having these things. So you have to have honest elections. He's taking that on. You have to have debt.
Elimination.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Debt elimination. That's what he's doing with basically getting us under the U.S. Treasury where we belong. Manufacturing prowess. That's all that money that's coming in, that $18 million. Strategic reserves. That's the bill that says we're going to have all the natural resources we need, particularly oil and particularly silver. And then energy independence. That's all those patents coming out. There's 5,915 patents. And then financial and social equity. And what is that? That's basically every nation in the world. Why were we the reserves currency in the first place? Because the world came out of World War II decimated, and there was no economy in the world that had stability except the United States. So as we destroy the UN, destroy the current financial beast system out there, we have to have a new system to replace it. And basically what has to happen is you have to do just what Eisenhower said. You have to basically you have to get rid of the volatility in the world market for trading across the world. So what has to happen is every nation's currency under Nosara has to be revalued at near parity, which creates stability. And then XRP creates the rails to make that system run as smooth as butter. And then the last thing, peace and prosperity. He's negotiating that every single solitary step of the way. And then that takes us to the last slide. And I'll let you wrap up if you got any questions or comments. But here's what I think is happening. I was told in the 68, when I had my near-death experience, God would keep me until the very end in the cleft of the rock. And now my platform is just exploding because we're there. We're at that moment where everything is on the line. We're just like 𝗬𝗏 said, in the final battle on death ground, and we're winning. We just need the American people to wake up and stand up. And if we do what they're doing in China and in Russia and Iran, they don't have a prayer. We are millions and millions of people. They're few by comparison. The power is in our hands, but we have to wake up and we have to stand up. And so the message I'm delivering is God told me, when I call you out, I will fed stuff into your brain for 57 years, and then you're going to release it all at one time. It's going to open people's eyes, and the truth will set the people free, and the world will be free. And I truly believe that in time, we will look at the world before Trump and after Trump. That's how significant what he's doing. There's not one thing here that's not positive. Just open your eyes and get with the program and hear. Support this man when the midterms come. Support what he's doing. We need to have a landslide. And oh, by the way, I believe absolutely that he is going to take care of the election fraud before the midterms, and we're going to have the opportunity to have an honest election. So with that, that's everything. And that's my red pill to the world.
You do an amazing job, Larry. Thank you so much. Where do people find you?
Well, they can go to my website, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and I now have my own show. It's on 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's on 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Crusade Official.
I should bring you on one of the morning shows one of these times too.
Okay. We'd love to.
𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.com. Basically, they can find everything there, right?
That's my website. You can go and buy the book through there. The book is only available on Amazon because guess what? I'm on the do not publish list.
Oh,
but I got a
wow.
great publisher, a Christian publisher, who published this book for me, not any of the big boys. And we've got a massive campaign coming because guess what? I've got a new book coming out. I'm going to release it for pre-sale on Valentine's Day, and I'm going to release it for general sale between the 10th and 15th of March. And it's called 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Crusade, Restoring the Republic. Everything we're talking about is right here, and that's what this new book is about.
Love it, Larry. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope my audience learned a lot. I did. I always do. So thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Neil. Be blessed. Bye-bye.